Everybody, good morning. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Mornings. Okay, presented by Brock Banner P Clinic, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. All right, peeps. Officially official. Well, actually, hang on one second. Let me confirm that it is officially official. I don't know that it is. Yeah, not officially official yet. Not officially official yet. The Saints have not made the announcement that Dennis Allen has been hired. Adam Schefter and others have reported it, but nothing official from the Saints. So not officially official yet, but right. So, Saints are hiring Dennis Allen to be the new head coach. What do y'all think? He was the odds-on favorite to get it all along. I know the outside community will focus on him being 8-28 in his stint with Oakland, 4-12, 4-12. Then started 0-4 and was fired. So 2+ seasons, but obviously New Orleans. Better organization, better structure, better ownership, better management, better leadership, better players. His quarterbacks there were Terrell Pryor, Matt McGloin. Now we don't know who the quarterback will be here for him, so maybe it won't be that great, but better situation for certain. You hope he's learned lessons from his first failed stint as a head coach. He has been the architect of the Saints' defensive turnaround. Likely allows you to keep a lot of the staff in place. The concern with that is, do you kind of have the substitute teacher mentality? Maybe, but all in all, I'm okay with it. Told you there were I think two people that were the ones that I would have been most in favor of, and they were Dennis Allen, Eric Bieniemy. Just really, did you want an offensive-minded guy or a defensive-minded guy? Do you want a blonde or a brunette, sort of thing? So they ultimately chose Dennis Allen, and wait for the announcement from the Saints. So let me know your feelings on it. Also tonight, LSU basketball in College Station against Texas A&M. They're all huge for LSU at this point. There aren't any, there aren't any layups. There's no margin for error anymore when you've lost 6 of 7. Brutal stretch here that they're on. You beat A&M a couple weeks ago in Baton Rouge. Believe it or not, LSU is a 1.5-point road favorite in this ball game tonight. Everyone's just waiting for this team to figure it out, and hopefully tonight's the night they get it done. Okay, let's say some good mornings here. Truax, what's good? Joseph Babineau, Kelly Presley, what's good? Hey, Dad, good morning. Corey Vuleman, good morning from Houston. Glad to be back. Good to see you, Corey. Thanks for being here. Sherry Gotro, Scott Borch. Kelly Gross from Beaumont, Texas. All right, Kelly Gross. Brian Broom, Chase Pellegrin, Jeremy Kling, Stephen Smith. Good morning, Eric Bieniemy is the OC draft Matt Cross. See, here's the thing, Stephen. If you're Eric Bieniemy, why would you leave Kansas City for New Orleans? Why would you leave the place that's been to 4 straight AFC Championship games where you've got Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback and Tyreek Hill and Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Jason Kelsey? Why would you leave that for New Orleans? With a new head coach, you don't know who the quarterback's going to be. You were the worst offense or one of the worst offenses in football last year. If you're Eric Bieniemy, why? You wouldn't. That's not a smart career move. Most people, they advance in their career. They don't take a job to regress. You don't leave a good job for a bad job. Deborah Coward, good morning. Reagan Lee, how many more transfers do you expect? I don't know. But they always happen, you know. I don't think it would be from prominent players. I think it would be from players that you look at positions where you have numbers and someone's buried on the depth chart. Offensive line would be a good example. You know, the guys who we've talked about for years now, waiting to see if they would emerge and haven't. Like maybe a couple of those guys might make sense. I'd say the same for linebacker now. You have numbers at linebacker now. And added, you get Baskerville and Mike Jones back. You add West Weeks and kid from South Carolina, Colby Fields. You sign Harold Perkins. That's put you at 5. You got Penn, who's sort of the leader of the group of guys that are here. That's 6. You know, and then you're talking about like Sampa and Josh White and those guys. I mean, could one of those guys leave? Maybe you got DeMario Tolan. You know what I mean? So you have numbers there. Wouldn't surprise me if you lost a linebacker. So stuff like that. Safety's another spot where you've got tons of numbers now. Wouldn't surprise me if you lost a safety. You know, someone who's been hanging around, hadn't really gotten on the field. Greg Phillips, good morning. Shannon O'Neill. Situation reminds me of what Ryan Clark said after LSU had Brian Kelly. Had a chance to shake things up and didn't. I'm not mad. I'm just kind of disappointed. I think there were better coaches available. Well, here's what I'll tell you, Shannon. And that's not a bad comp. I am very curious to see Eric Bieniemy as a head coach. I mean, that I've made no bones about that the past 2 or 3 off seasons. To be because of the affiliation with Kansas City. I mean, he's kind of helped build that thing, and I'm curious if he could basically be like what Sean McVay is in LA, or what Sean Payton was when the Saints hired him. You know, I think that potential exists. So I'd kind of like to see what that looks like. I'm curious. But it's different in the NFL because you're not necessarily talking about proven head coaches. When you're LSU, you can get the coach from Notre Dame to leave to come here. You don't really get other head coaches to leave. Head coaches don't leave their jobs in the NFL for other head coaching jobs in the NFL. So, I mean, you can make the case for Doug Peterson, right, having won a Super Bowl, and that would have made a lot of sense. But, if they just wanted to go in a different direction, well. Hey, Mark, good morning. The courtside raffle seats are not available. We raffled them off yesterday. Robert Martin, good morning. Kyle Gallo. If blondes and brunettes are offensive or defensive coaches, that make mindless coaches like Ed redheads. You said it, not me. You said it, not me, Kyle. Just for the record. Tim Gotros, Shane O'Mac, Brooke Bordeaux, good morning. Lee Duga, good morning from Greensboro, North Carolina. Jesse Brown, good morning. Does the NFL head coach salary count on the salary cap? It does not, no. Coaches' salaries are not against the cap. It's just for the players on the roster that are under the cap. Trivia Carter, good morning. Trey Guy, good morning. Joey Vincent. Hey, Tomas, good morning. How long of a shot at Breeze becoming the OC? Tomas, the thing is, like, I think he could do a great job, right? But if you leave football for something not affiliated with an organization, you're like, if you're Drew Brees, you want to spend more time with your family. You want to do something that's less intense. I mean, TV takes a lot of preparation, and there's travel and all that stuff, no doubt. But it's not nearly what it is for a game week during the season in the NFL. And for coaches, it's even worse than players because you're up there later game planning. And I mean, the hours are even longer for coaches than they are for players. So, I hear you. I think he'd be great at it. I just don't think that's the route he's going. Well, you get George Takas out of the portal. So that's a tight end transfer from Notre Dame. You know, it's so funny. I said this on AFR. It's funny that much as Bengals pep rally yesterday. It's funny that LSU fans have become really focused on George Takas. But it makes sense, right? I mean, LSU needs tight end help desperately. That guy in 4 years has played in 9 games and made 8 receptions. And we're like, man, do you think they can get him? Do you think they can? You know, it goes to show you how thin they are at tight end. Brady Smith, morning Matt, DA was my preferred candidate from the beginning. I was surprised by Jeff Duncan's tweet saying Carmichael will not be the OC. DA will make an outside hire. That is a little surprising. We'll see what direction he goes. Let me see. I didn't see Jeff's tweet. Let me see what he said. Okay. Chris Reese and Nielsen will be strong candidates for promotion to defensive coordinator. Heard Allen will likely hire someone from outside to be offensive coordinator. Pete Carmichael is expected to remain on staff, but not as OC. Wow, that's a little stunning. Why would Carmichael stay on staff but not as offensive coordinator? Why would he take a demotion? Well, I say that, then if you're comfortable, right? If you like where you work and who you work with and the organization you're with and you've been here a long time and you want to stay and they're willing to keep you in a different capacity, okay. But normally coaches progress. They don't regress in their career. Trivia card, let's see, Logan Mathern, Wendell Norman, Matt Gardner. Morning, Matt. What do you think about the supposedly video of the Kamara incident? Sounds bad. Well, I mean, it's surveillance tape and it's in the police report. So I don't think that I don't think it's fabricated, obviously. Yeah, it sounds bad. It's stunning that someone would risk so much for something so dumb. Apparently, the man who got attacked called someone in Kamara's group ugly. And so he got punched, and then by someone else first, and then Kamara jumped in and punched him 8 times, including 3 times when he was on the ground. According to the police report, broken orbital bone. I mean, that's ugly, y'all. I mean, there ain't no way around it. You know, and for his sake, you know, promising young dude, I hope he doesn't do jail time. I mean, as much as I hate to say this, like, bar fights happen every night in every city, everywhere. I'm not saying it's okay. It's the nature of something that happens. And I would just, like, that's not the kind of guy that needs to be in prison. But someone would say, what if that was your family member? I'd get it, man. I'd want him punished. Tough, man. And for New Orleans, you got to keep in mind that this is essentially a guaranteed 6-game suspension. I mean, that's minimum what Kamara's going to get. A guaranteed 6-game suspension. So you're going to get, provided he's not in prison, he's available, guaranteed 6-game suspension. So you're going to go through next year without Kamara for 6 games. So you have to think running back as well. Hey, Brandon, good morning. Like the video Drew with his books. Yeah, man, he's always grabbing books. I put it on my story last night. Stu 3, the only reason BNB might consider is he would full control of the offense. No. Keith H. Morning Scone, you're looking kind of buff. You are gonna. Thank you, Keith H. Casanova Jones, what's the deal with Carmichael? I don't know what role he'll keep, man. Mr. Jones, rapping batches. Mulkey keeping the girls on track. Yep, nice win last night against Ole Miss. Kim wanted a packed house on Thursday when Georgia comes in. So usually when she asks for it, she gets it. Shane O'Mac, I know it's early. Is it possible, given all that's happened with Alvin Kamara recently, he's included in a trade package for a quarterback? You see, Shane, here's the problem with that. Why would a team trade for Alvin Kamara now, given the uncertainty of his status, right? I mean, he's facing criminal charges. I know I say this to y'all often, and it bears repeating now. Sometimes you have to consider if you're trying to actively get rid of someone, why would another team give you a valuable resource for something you're trying to dump? Like when Michael Thomas was hurt. Y'all like, hey man, trade Michael Thomas. Y'all like, trade Andrews Pete. Hey man, trade Andrews Pete. Let's get a first round pick for Andrews. I'm like, y'all been crapping on Andrews Pete for years. Why would another team desperately want Andrews Pete when all y'all do is crap on him? Like, you look at it as a way to unload a player you don't like, but someone else should give you something of value for it. And you got to consider that. You have to consider not just what you're trying to part with or what you're trying to get, but you have to consider the other team's stance in a trade as well. And usually to get something of value, you have to give something of value. Eric Wilderrotter, shoot, 8 career receptions. Sounds like an LSU tight end already. Under Les Miles, it certainly would have been the case. Jesse Post, Tim Gotro. What's up with Kyler Murray scrubbing references to the Cardinals? I have no idea. Matt, if Kamara can't play because he's in jail, how will that affect the cap? It doesn't matter. I mean, you still have... I mean, he's still on your books. So, Kamara... So Kamara next year has a $14.5 million cap hit and a dead cap hit of 20.5. So if you cut him or trade him, to the person who asked about that, if Kamara's not on your roster, he costs you $20.5 million. If he is on your roster, he costs you $14.5 million. So it costs you less to have Alvin Kamara than to not have Alvin Kamara. So Kamara is one of those guys that will absolutely be back. You have to consider those types of things. There's always shout out to Brock, y'all. Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, brortho.com. New year, new career. Shout out our guys there at Brock. They are hiring. So if you're looking for work, go see our friends at Brock. If you need an orthopedist, go see our friends at Brock. As always, Hudco Roofing, hudcoroofing.com. Do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing and hudcoroofing.com. Gary Atchison, Scott Bork, Shelby Kelly. How would you make out the batting order? Shelby's gearing up, man. We're inside of 2 weeks. He's ready for baseball season. I mean, Shelby, I asked that question a few weeks back, and it was I think it was Morgan, Cruz, Berry, Dugas, Doty. Beloso, providing he's DHing. Or McManus, Beloso, Thompson, Joe Bear, I think. It was something like they're stacked. They're freaking stacked. I mean, whew. Craig Savoy, good morning. It's been a while. Well, welcome back, Craig. You're always welcome. You know where to find us. Ron Ritchie, good morning. Is there a ranking out there with transfers and high school recruits? So, Ron, 247 Sports does have a combo ranking where they combine the high school and the transfers. I think LSU was 6th. Dwayne Johnson, good morning. Does Dennis keep Carmichael as OC? So, that some people have referred to that already. Jeff Duncan tweeted that Carmichael is expected to remain on staff, but not as offensive coordinator. Jeremy Hoskins, Chiefs may have an agreement with Bieniemy when he takes over once Andy retires. Maybe. Jonathan Martin, good morning. Why is 100.3 reception in Covington bad? So, Scott, the stick is in LaRose. So the stick is in LaRose and it shoots across the city, across the lake. So if you're in Covington, you're on the outer reaches of the signal. That's why. It really depends where you are. If you're on the lake shore, like on the North Shore, but like closer to the lake, you're more likely to get it. Makes sense because you're closer to the signal. So an FM signal is on a tower, it transmits, it's shooting from LaRose across New Orleans, across the lake, just like, but you're in the outer reaches of it. That's why. Benton all for Josh DeVilliers. Good morning, Bart St. Germain. Got my first appointment with Crystal Poche this morning. Enjoy it, Bart. She's going to take care of you, man. Go in there with an open mind. Just relax. She got you. That's Crystal Poche at Restored Motions. You have pain, go see her. She'll take you out of it. Charlie Cavell, let's see. Josh, what you're saying is Alvin Kamara was the only one doing any hitting at the Pro Bowl. But so Neil Ripley, good question. I have addressed this, but I will again. Why didn't Lattimore face repercussions last offseason? So Lattimore, his arrest was for a non-violent offense, and if you go look at the NFL rule, if it's a non-violent offense and the offender has a clean record, then the NFL can choose just to fine and not suspend that player. It's pretty clearly written in there. And Lattimore has never been in trouble before. And if you remember, the charges got dropped or lessened against him. So that's why. But for violent offenses, assault, battery, domestic violence, those come with an automatic 6-game suspension. And a second offense is banishment from the league. So that's why. Hey, Jeff McKithen, good morning. Benton Alford, do you think Brian Harsin will be fired? Benton, I don't. Not that I have any insight. Only just the people that I asked who cover Auburn, late last week said, look, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen this weekend. If he makes it through the weekend, he's going to be the guy. They just got to move through it. So apparently they're just moving through it. Clayton Knight, morning. See the bourbon raffles coming again. Yeah, man. So S&P, just south of campus on Nicholson, actually right by Pluckers. S&P, my guy KP over there, they did their first one last year, and asked me to host it, which I did. And the beneficiary from their ticket sales was St. Lillian Academy, which is Drew's school. So, and he said he'd do the same thing again this year. So yes, it's Mardi Gras day, Mardi Gras night. We will stream it, same as we did the Calandras raffle. So yeah, man, get by S&P and buy your tickets. And they might even be selling tickets. I think they are selling tickets online. I think you can just Venmo. But anyway, I'll share the graphic so y'all can see it. Gary Atchison, Brock needs a jingle. I'll let him know. Robbie Wellborn, good morning. I know Will Wade has fire inside him, but I wish it was the same fire Kim Mulkey has. I bet the guys would know their assignments if she was coaching. Well, she's also one of the greatest coaches in the history of the sport. And Will's still a young guy with a lot of room to grow. Brandon, Caleb Pointer, so much fun to watch. It's fun watching women's basketball again. Matt Plavidal, Matt, there are people like Bill O'Brien that gave away Hopkins. Yeah, the trade for DeAndre Hopkins was stupid. There are bad trades. There's no doubt there's bad trades. But that's also how guys like Bill O'Brien get fired. I think Bill O'Brien, the coach, was good. Bill O'Brien, the GM, not good. Spurge, what's good, man? Michael Tolliver. It's impossible for the Saints to have a nice, quiet offseason. Impossible. Honestly, Michael, that's pretty much every team. I mean, really, truly it is. At all levels. It's when players leave the organization, the structure of the organization, it's typically when you see them coloring outside the lines. And, you know, all the coaches I've known and covered over the years, they always say, man, in the offseason, they just fear that late night, early morning phone call. Reed Rule, what's up? Kareem Hunt was a repeat offender, only got 8 games for beating a woman. I'd be shocked if Kamara got more than 4. Reed, I'm telling you, it's a minimum 6 game. Like they changed the rule a few years back. It's a minimum 6 game suspension. Like, and it's an automatic 6 game suspension. Matt Plavadol, Matt Edinherbeck from Richard, going to email him back. Emailed you about water standing on my ceiling roof issue, perhaps. So Matt, last week with, I'll circle back as soon as we're done here. Last week with all the rain, everything got paused. We obviously can't go get on roofs when it's raining, so everything got paused and backlogged. That's why. But I will follow up as soon as we're done here. Thank you for the reminder. Tyler McLean. Good morning. Scott McClendon, morning. If I was Eric Bieniemy and I had interviewed for 8 hours with the Saints, I didn't get the job, I'd be so upset. Now, Scott, that's pretty standard. I mean, I think the other interviews were 6 hours. I mean, that's pretty standard. Like, when you go interview, you're going to spend the day. I mean, it's a billionaire owner who's going to commit millions of dollars to you to run their billion-dollar organization. You're going to spend a day interviewing. I'll tell you, when we hired an ops manager at Guarantee, we had an operations manager at Guarantee. I've had this conversation. His name's Chris Elliott. He's our ops manager right now. He got the job. He had like 3 Zoom interviews. He was living in Virginia, I think. He had like 3 Zoom interviews and flew down here and had like 2 days worth of interviews. Like, and they had a bunch of people on staff. Like, I interviewed them, weirdly enough, but they wanted the perspective of an on-air person. And so like Flynn and Gordy and our sales manager, like, it's common. It's common. Trivia. Y'all know the Saints have a morality clause in Kamara's contract. I don't know that. Trivia. I don't know what's in his contract. Jay Benoit, good morning. James McKinney, what's up, Scone? Don't really get to catch your lives. Always enjoy your content. Thank you, James. Very kind of you, man. I appreciate that. Rapid matches. I'll never understand why people who have money do whatever they want. Still choose to go out around crowds of idiots, places like Vegas, anywhere else for that matter. Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be troublemakers and trouble seekers. Not necessarily that was the case here. I mean, apparently the guy wasn't pointing out Kamara or anything like that. Just when it's 5 a.m. in Vegas or 6 a.m. in Vegas, and you're seeing the other side of 6 a.m. Because you've been out all night, your judgment might tend to be clouded. Binky Bop. Dennis Allen is the Ed Ogeron type of hire. The difference, Binky Bop, is that Dennis Allen's actually run a side of the ball. Ed had never done that before. He was a failed head coach. And I also would tell you that it's the NFL and college aren't what and what, because in college you got to recruit your roster, and there isn't the level playing field in college, and there's different resources and stuff like that. In the NFL, there's a salary cap in the draft, and there's all different types of things to make things equitable, to drive parity. And there's lots of examples of guys who were failed first-time head coaches that became successful head coaches later. Pete Carroll's a great example of that. He was a failed head coach and ultimately became a Super Bowl winning head coach. Bill Belichick got fired in Cleveland and became Bill Belichick. So I'm not saying that Dennis Allen's going to be that, but typically in the NFL, if you're a coach and you get your second opportunity, that's usually your last opportunity if you don't make it work. So Does running back become a higher draft priority now? It's a good question. Yeah. You have an aging Mark Ingram and Kamara, who's going to be suspended for at least 6 games. Yeah, it does. Absolutely, it does. Joseph Armato, good morning. Got up early this morning to catch you live. Thank you, Joseph. Appreciate you for being there. Good to watch you. Good to see you. Matthew Rudiger, I know you're not a news-breaking guy. How does Adam Schefter always want to break big news? How does he get the news first? Tons of hard work. So, Matthew, just because I don't like to break news doesn't mean I don't get news. A lot of times when I get leads like that, I give them to people on the beat to go break it. It's hard work of cultivating those relationships. When you're Adam Schefter and you've been covering the NFL since the early 90s, and you've been around the league, and coaches and GMs and owners and players all know you and trust you to be responsible with information and see that you work hard and you're good at what you do, they trust you and they give you that info. So, with Schefter specifically, well, it's a big old Relief Windows trailer. Somebody in here is getting Relief Windows today. Heck yeah. Oh, that's a big old trailer too, man. Somebody's getting their whole house did. Ooh, 7:55. We gotta get going. But that's how. That's how. Let's see a few more from over here on Facebook. Then we'll wrap. Eric Trosclair, boot up. Jerry DeLucky. Robbie, when are we getting another Scone and tea? Good question, Robbie. I don't know. I mean, it was intended to be a football season podcast. I don't know that we are really motivated to keep it going outside of football. Maybe like we'll drop episodes here and there, like a spring football episode or two. But I don't know. And Caleb Bernard, good morning. All right, y'all, we are done. I got to get going. As always, shout out to Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Need a roof? Give us a shout, Hudco. All right, y'all have a great day. We'll see you for AFR 3. Peace.